A woman bathes in a hot spring with her best friend. As she gets out, something sharp bites her waist. But once she's home, she simply shrugs it off. Insect bites are just part of being out in nature. Surely the red welt will heal on its own soon. But she soon realizes just how naive she truly was. As the days slowly begin to pass, Annie senses her body is mysteriously transforming. She hears neighbors clearly through supposedly soundproof walls. She even senses someone approaching the front door. Opening it, she finds her fiancé Jack standing there. Annie longs to be close and intimate with him. She's neglected him during her long trip, but when she sees the food sitting on his plate, sudden nausea hits her. She bolts to the bathroom. She vomits a large amount of strange, milky white fluid. Strangely enough, it's unusually thick and sticky. Not wanting to cause him any unnecessary worry, she blames some bad food she ate while traveling. Jack doesn't suspect a single thing is wrong. He even starts casually discussing their wedding plans. He never once notices the swollen lump on her thigh, until he accidentally rubs it open. Annie panics and rushes quickly into the bathroom. The wound has already begun to fester in weak fluid. When Jack gently asks her what is wrong, she lies to him once more, claiming she's just fine. Her silence and denial will end up costing her dearly. The very next day, Annie wakes up in sheer horror. She spent the entire night at the bottom of the bathtub. She has absolutely no memory of doing so. Somehow, she can now breathe underwater effortlessly. A sudden, urgent knock echoes at the front door. It's her best friend coming by for a visit. She asks when Annie will finally tell Jack the truth. The wedding is now just 1 week away, and she lost her engagement ring during the trip. But Annie can't focus on any of that now. Her body aches with ever-growing, relentless pain. She admits the bite is badly infected and inflamed. Her friend offers soothing medicated cream. She mentions she once had a minor rash too. After her dear friend finally departs, Annie tries to eat something to regain her strength, but the moment she swallows bread, she chokes and gags. Again, she vomits a large amount of viscous fluid. This time, it's even thicker and denser than before. The next day, Annie goes to visit her neighbor. One look at her, and the woman freezes in shock. Even her own dog, when called, stays completely silent, as if the person at the door is a total stranger. As if the dog is terrified of what Annie has become. A woman has been stranded at sea for 3 days. Just as despair sets in, a strange island appears on the horizon. Desperate, she rows toward it, unaware of the danger closing in. A violent impact rocks her raft. Annie looks down in horror. A 3-ton great white shark is attacking her. Her raft is punctured. She paddles frantically toward the island, but the air is rapidly escaping. It won't last much longer. The shark keeps pursuing her. Terrified, Annie paddles even harder. She finally nears the island, but spots a warning sign. No trespassing, it reads. Violators will be prosecuted. Annie glances back. 2 more sharks have joined the chase. She has no choice. She throws her paddle at them. A desperate attempt to slow them down. Then, without hesitation, she dives into the water. The sharks lunge but miss. Annie doesn't waste a second. She swims toward a nearby raft, but the sharks have already locked onto her. Just as she reaches the raft, a shark lunges, jaws wide open. Annie barely escapes with her life. She tries desperately to catch her breath, but suddenly, sharp pain shoots through her hand. While climbing onto the raft's platform, she cut her palm deeply on some rusty wire. If left untreated and ignored, tetanus could turn deadly out here. Luckily, a supply box contains basic first aid. After quickly bandaging her bleeding wound, she grabs a water bottle and drinks thirstily, but she abruptly stops herself. She can't waste it. Rescue may take days. Then she spots a radio in the box. She calls for help. No response. Turning, she sees a woman floating in the water. Annie throws a rope and pulls her in, learning they're the only survivors of a plane crash. Both are completely devastated. If either of them wants to survive, they must rely on each other. First, they need to deal with the sharks. Annie jumps into the water, splashing wildly to attract them. Her partner yanks the rope at the perfect moment. A massive rock crashes down, crushing one shark instantly beneath it. But the danger isn't over. The remaining 2 are enraged, circling, waiting to strike. Annie tries the same trick again. More rocks to crush the sharks, but the cliff wall is bare. Just as she despairs, she spots a spear gun floating nearby. She makes a split-second decision to retrieve it. To give her cover, her partner breaks off small rocks, ties bloody bandages to them, and hurls them into the distance, distracting the sharks. Annie dives in without a second thought. She grabs the spear gun and turns back, but a shark catches the scent of blood. It wheels around and charges straight at her. While sunbathing, Annie notices something strange. She wants her husband to join her, but he insists on going for a swim in the sea. At first, Annie doesn't think much of it, but when she wakes up from her nap, her husband has completely vanished. She checks the time. 3 whole hours have passed. Panic instantly sets in. She rushes to a nearby couple and asks if they saw him. They insist they never saw anyone else on the beach. Annie's fear deepens even more. Even stranger, his phone is missing too. She frantically dials his number. It rings and rings endlessly. No answer. Not once. A heavy sense of dread washes over her. She quickly throws on her clothes and rushes back to shore. She immediately finds the lifeguard station, shows them his photo desperately, fears he might have drowned. The lifeguards sense the urgency in her voice. They quickly take a boat out, search the entire surrounding area thoroughly, but mysteriously enough, hours of searching yield absolutely nothing. No trace of him whatsoever. Desperate, Annie goes to the police station. The officer chuckles dismissively at her story. He claims the currents here are calm and stable. The water is shallow. No one has ever drowned in this area. Even if something did happen, a body wouldn't just completely disappear. He clearly dismisses her case, takes minimal notes and sends her back to the hotel. Back in her lonely room, the phone suddenly rings. Her heart leaps. Could it finally be him? Just a telemarketer. Disappointment, fear and sadness return instantly. They came here to celebrate their 5th wedding anniversary. Now this nightmare. Annie lies awake, tormented, all night. At dawn, she returns to the exact spot on the beach, hoping desperately for a miracle. But she ends up waiting 6 long months. The police have made zero progress. A university professor, she reluctantly returns to teaching. Then comes a complete surprise. A new student in her class. It's the lifeguard who helped search for her husband. She approaches him. His name is Jack. He was working a summer job on the island back then. Now he's been accepted to this university. He's sorry to hear her husband is still missing. He sincerely expresses his regrets. From that day forward, Jack constantly finds clever ways to be near Annie. They keep accidentally bumping into each other. He asks her out to meals, invites her to concerts. Annie sees right through his obvious intentions, but she believes her husband is alive. She will never betray him. So she tells Jack directly and clearly, she is already married. He needs to stop pursuing her. Later that same night, while watching old videos of her missing husband, she notices a deeply disturbing detail. A black slave finds a diamond while panning for gold. He quickly and quietly hides it inside his mouth, but unfortunately, a guard spots him. Jack witnesses the entire incident unfold. Not long after, Jack himself finds a diamond. Wiping away the thick mud, he sees a pink gem the size of a dove's egg. In this booming diamond rush era, this single stone could set him up for life. He quickly hides it between his toes, then heads to the bushes, pretending to relieve himself. Once he's completely alone, he pulls the precious pink diamond from his foot, tearing a piece of cloth to carefully wrap it. Disaster suddenly strikes. The guard has spotted him again. Jack thinks his life is over. Suddenly, a massive explosion. The guard is knocked out cold. Government forces are raiding the camp. Jack quickly buries the diamond. Then soldiers capture and detain him. The injured guard is there too. He furiously confronts Jack, realizing he might be exposed. Jack dramatically takes off his coat. He yells, claiming the guard is framing him. He says he knows nothing about any diamond, trying desperately to deflect suspicion. But Danny, locked in another cage, senses something is off. The moment he's bailed out of prison, he has his friend get Jack released too. Soon enough, Jack walks free, but he doesn't go for the diamond. He returns home, searching for his wife and son. He scans every name on the list. They aren't there. No trace of them. Just as despair begins to consume him, Danny suddenly appears and finds him. Jack distrusts white men. He ignores him. Then, without warning, gunfire erupts. Militants launch a sudden, brutal attack. They ruthlessly slaughter innocent civilians. Even government soldiers fire without caring who gets hit. Danny was a soldier once. His experience saves them. He pulls Jack through the chaos. They reach a government camp. Using Danny's credentials, they find a journalist, Annie. Through her valuable connections, they track down a refugee shelter. There, Jack finally finds his wife alive, but his young son is still missing. He knows if the militants captured the boy, they'd train him into a cold-blooded child soldier. To save his lost son, Jack decides to go back into militant territory. Danny agrees to join him. His goal is that pink diamond. Halfway to their destination, militants ambush them on the road. Every day when Annie comes home from work, her landlord is waiting at the door for rent. But this time, she flatly refuses to pay. She's had her eye on the young billionaire across the street. If she lands him, she'll live in a mansion and climb the social ladder overnight. Spotting his love for fine wine, she soaks herself completely in the rain, then pretends to bump into him at a wine shop, asking for advice. Sure enough, when he sees her wet, nearly transparent shirt, he simply cannot take his eyes off her. But Annie knows the art of playing hard to get. She smiles warmly, thanks him politely, and waits outside alone for her ride. Seeing her legs shiver slightly in the rain, he offers to drive her home instead. Casually, she mentions her cramped shared apartment. Her roommate parties with strangers until late every night. He suggests she could stay at his place tonight. She pretends to politely decline the generous offer, but as she steps out, she hesitates. Loud arguing from her apartment makes her frown. He immediately notices her hesitation. He smoothly pulls the car back around. She pretends to reluctantly agree, but deep inside, she's absolutely thrilled. Annie knows her gamble is paying off. He brings out his most prized wine, glass after glass after glass. She feels warm and playfully slips off her coat. The atmosphere instantly turns intimate. Just as he leans in closer, she plays hard to get once again. It's getting late. She really should go, but he pleads with her sincerely, desperately. She finally gives in, like an innocent girl. She stays the night. Next morning, His alarm wakes him. Annie is already gone without a trace. The faint scent of her lingers on the pillow. He decides she's not after his money. That night, he goes to the bar where she works. Seeing the woman who haunts his dreams, he drops 100 grand on a tab. Annie is absolutely overjoyed inside. After work, they walk to his car, arm in arm. They catch a car thief. He tries to play the hero. The thief knocks him down with one swing, then brutally breaks his leg. Now he's in a wheelchair, leg in a cast. He plans to hire a nurse. Annie offers to take care of him. He's deeply touched. To make things easier for her, he willingly gives her the front door code. He has absolutely no idea this single act will completely destroy him.